Hello and welcome back to my channel. This is Emily and today is day 10 and the last day of my 2020 Valentine Card Series. I hope everyone has a wonderful Valentine's Day today. Today's card didn't go as I had planned, but I rolled with it and actually ended up liking it quite a bit. So here I've got a few stamp sets. One by Echo Park, Mr. and Mrs., and two by Carta, Welcome Home and Precious Girl. I'm just using the hearts from these stamp sets. I will be using one acrylic block, and I will be stamping them down on this piece of Cougar 110-pound cardstock. Using some Versamark ink, I have treated that piece of paper with my anti-static powder bag, and I will be heat embossing these hearts in clear embossing powder. I'm kind of just stamping them randomly all over that background to create, I guess, the look of maybe a background stamp. When I finished with that, I go ahead and heat set it. You can see that melting right here. So when I finished with that, I've got my ink machine out heating up, and I've got a piece of foil by Heidi Swap. It's kind of an ombre foil, and there's a little bit of flickering going on here with my light. You can see in a little bit. We are living off-grid at the moment with solar panels and batteries and whatnot, and our power inverter did not like the amount of power that this ink machine was pulling, so it messed with my light a little bit. But I went ahead and ran that through that ink machine, and then I let it cool for just a minute and pulled off that foil. And as you can see, here's that little bit of imperfection. The embossing powder was not completely smooth, so there were some dimples in there, and it showed when I pulled that embossing powder off, the foil off. So here I'm using my Tonic guillotine paper trimmer to trim that panel down just a little bit. I wanted to mat it on a piece of black cardstock. And then I've got this Nesting Hearts die set by Firefly and a Waffle Flower Carnation stamp set. I'm using one of those hearts in that die set to die cut from black cardstock, and then the size larger from silver cardstock. This particular one needed to be ran through a few times to make sure that it cut all the way. And then I will be using the Love You sentiment from that Waffle Flower stamp set to heat emboss in white on that little black heart. I use that same anti-static powder bag to treat that heart with, and then some Versamark ink to stamp that down. And here I've got that white embossing powder. And then I went ahead and heat set that off screen. There you can see it a little bit. And then I put a little piece of typing paper underneath of this. You can see that black cardstock show up a little bit better since it's harder to see on that black work surface. So I've got some double-sided tape here that I've put on the back of that foiled panel. And then I'm adhering that down onto the black cardstock. And I will use that same adhesive on the back. Well, first I'm using this white sanding block that I typically use in nails to remove the little bit of fuzzy edge that I had on that black cardstock. The trimmer the blade in my paper trimmer was pretty dull, and it kind of gives that fuzzy edge, and that's a good way to get rid of it. And then I used that same double-sided adhesive on the back of that black heart, and my Tim Holtz craft pick to remove the release paper, and I adhere that down onto the silver glitter heart. I'll add some foam tape to the back of that heart and remove that release paper and adhere that onto my foiled panel. So when I finished with that, I've got a piece of Cougar Cougar cardstock that I score at 4 1/4 inches for a side folding note card, and I'm using my EK Tools scoring board and my Teflon bone folder to create that crease in that cardstock. I had some double-sided foam tape to the back of that black cardstock that the foil panel is adhered to, and I will adhere that flat onto my card base. And when I have finished with that, I use some Distress Collage Medium in the matte finish and my wax pencil to adhere some glittery rhinestones scattered on the front of that panel and then onto the heart as well, and that finishes this card. I wasn't sure I liked the imperfect foiling at first, but I decided to roll with it and ended up loving it. I am so glad I didn't throw it away and start over. I think that would have been too much work, but thank you so much for watching, and I will be back soon with another video. Bye.